Hello again gamers, and welcome to The Coin Game, an indie life sim where you play as an orphan child in a town completely filled with robots, and your pet goose, where your sole purpose in life is making enough money to buy Mountain Dew, feed your goose, and play an array of stimulating and mentally damaging arcade games. So basically me in high school, but minus being orphaned, the goose, robots, and replacing arcade games with CSGO. The game has 3 different modes. You can play in quick play or party mode to just play the games without having to deal with any of the life sim stuff, but to me at least, the survival mode's life sim elements really enhance the gameplay by forcing you to take a break from the arcade games and giving you a sense of progression as you try and balance your money between living and playing another round of Stack 'em Up. These elements are pretty straightforward too. You've got a hunger and health bar, and if you run out of hunger, your health will start draining and you'll eventually pass out. If this happens, you'll just need to go back to the menu and reload from your last save. Same thing happens if you miss your curfew. Food and health items are bought at shops and various vendors around town, and I just gotta say, I love the variety and detail put into these. You've got simple candy machines and vending machines, but then you also have full-blown convenience stores where you have to put your items on a conveyor belt to be scanned and bagged, or wait as an NPC cooks it up for you. And this open world detail is something that I think the Coin Game does really well, which I'll touch more on later. You can earn money through pretty simple activities like delivering papers or pizzas, mowing your neighbor's lawn, babysitting, or digging through the trash to find things to recycle. There's also lottery tickets. I may have spent all my money on lottery tickets. Once you've got some dosh, you can hit up one of the town's 4 arcades, which each have a distinct theme and selection of games. You've got classics like crane games and coin pushers, which I really liked, skee ball, shooting hoops, air hockey, and tons of other games I hadn't even seen or played before. Some of the arcades also have more active minigames like laser tag, go-karting, and mini-putt, which are just a nice change of pace from the more static arcade games. Winning games awards you tickets, which you can trade in for prizes. Most of these are just for show, to store in your room or garage, but some of the more expensive ones have functionality like the boombox or hoverboard. There's also a carnival area with carnival games and rides. I found the rides to be a bit underwhelming since they just move your camera around the ride. It really lacks any feeling of movement and the rush of actually being on one of those things. But the carnival games themselves were great. A nice little palate cleanser from doing arcade games all day. A short little dive into a similar but different genre of simulation. If you're into using cheesy strategies, they're also a great way to earn money through grinding certain prizes. At this point, I feel like I have to point out that all this work has been done by a single developer, which is just super impressive to me. From what I can tell, it looks like a lot of care has been put into making these arcade games feel authentic. Like recently I went to see Oppenheimer and I actually recognized some of the arcade machines that they had outside the theater from this game. And that was just like a really cool thing to notice in real life. The only game that I had a problem with was the go-kart minigame. Trying to get a first place trophy took me to levels of agony that I hadn't experienced since I stopped playing War Thunder. So despite the AI racers being on the track, you're just racing against yourself and have to beat a certain time to get first place. The problem is that running into the AI racers or trying to lap them usually slows you down so much that you fail to get this time. Which is frustrating because it takes away from the race being a game of skill by having essentially randomized obstacles that will fail you if you run into them. In order to win, I had to tediously wait for them to be spaced out just right so that I didn't run into them throughout the whole race. One way to fix this might be to have 2 race modes. One where you compete against other racers, since it's cool to race against some AI just for fun, and another one where there's nobody else on the track and you just try to beat the required time to get first place. This wouldn't really change anything because, as I said before, in the current iteration of the game, you're just competing against yourself to beat a time, not to place first among AI racers. But aside from that, most of the minigames and arcade games are just dangerously fun. I'm pretty sure that the Coin Game can be classified as a Keter class cognito hazard, cause for 3 hours straight, I was glued to this stupid game where you have to wombo combo these balls 50 times in a row without a miss to get the jackpot. Yes, there is a joke about balls somewhere there, but I'm being artistic and subverting your expectations by not saying it. Point is, these games are extremely fun and addicting, and much like discovering the hentai tag, scratched an itch that I didn't know I had. Before this, I didn't really see why arcade games were that appealing since I didn't get to play many as a kid, but now I think I kinda get it. And it also helps that here I don't need to spend real money to play them. But what really ties the game together for me is the life sim stuff. I feel like if I was just playing these games with no limits, the first few play sessions might be more fun, but eventually I'd be less driven to come back to the game once I tried everything out. Having to spend the money that I'd earned on the games added a bit of risk and reward into the mix and made me think about strategies for how to get the most bang for my buck so I could get certain prizes faster and not waste money. And really, this metagame is the first thing that really defines the coin game and elevates it from simply recreating arcade games that other people made to a unique game in its own right. The second thing being the world itself. It's clear that the dev has put a lot of care into it. I love that all the NPCs are custom and that he's clearly voiced all of them and tried to do an accent or change his voice for each. It's scuffed, but in a really charming way.
Hey there, what's going there, little spender? There, you need some cheese doodles? Good old-fashioned fun. Step right up and be a winner.
Yeah, welcome to One-Eyed Billy's Arcade and Fun Center. What can I do you for? Well, hey there. Oh, you got a pizza there for me, it looks like. Fantastic. Let me find your tip here. No, it's around here somewhere. Up there it is. Thanks. Oh, thanks so much. Have it. Yep, you too. Thanks. Yep, bye-bye.
There are so many little things to appreciate, like discovering there's a working bus system or realizing that the shops have little charging stations for the robots outside, watching TV, or finding a little stand that sells fireworks by the beach. There didn't need to be this much detail and personal touch, but they added it anyway. I mean, look, when delivering pizzas, they could have just made them disappear at the door, but they actually animated and voiced robots that come and open the door and talk to you with a fully fleshed out interior room.
Like so fast, dude. Let me get you some tip money. Thanks.
This is the type of thing I love about these solo indie projects. Just seeing how a single person decided to build something, where they decided to put detail and just how they did it. It's like looking at someone's custom Lego build or something. Obviously, the game isn't perfect though. I think what the game really needs right now are more long-term goals to work towards outside of prizes. Right now, the only thing like this is the go-kart, which is actually a really good upgrade over your default bike, since it lets you get around much faster and actually carry cargo. One idea I had would be the ability to buy arcade machines or vending machines around town, placed, outside shops or businesses, and periodically be able to collect money from them. And speaking of earning money, I noticed that you can only cut the neighbor's lawn once per save, which doesn't really make any sense. You should be able to do this once a week or something, just so that the player has a more consistent revenue source rather than it just being a one-time thing. I'd also like to see more ways of making money around town added, maybe a minigame where you have to make burgers at a fast food restaurant in the mall or something, perhaps more jobs that could unlock once you get to certain progression points so that over time you earn better ways of making money. In a recent update, they did add a new system where you can pay other robots to do a few jobs for you, and I think the system is a step in the right direction. I'm interested to see how the developer expands on it. The only other problems I had with the game were that the boat minigame in the pirate arcade is super laggy, and there's a physics bug with the go-kart where when you load the game and it has stuff in the back, it won't move until you take all that stuff out and put it back in. Hey, Timtra from the editing room here, and when I went to get footage of the boats minigame, it actually wasn't lagging anymore, so maybe something else was causing that. So yeah. Well, here's the golf cart glitching out as a replacement problem. But on the whole, the game is great and I can fully recommend it. I've spent a full day of my life playing it so far, with many of those hours being binges into irresponsible hours of the night, which we all know is the sign of a good game. Well, that's it for my ramblings on the coin game. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like or a comment, and if you're based and want to see more, maybe consider giving me a cheeky little subscribe. Or don't, I don't give a shit. Thanks for watching, peace.